Thank you for joining RiverWoods Exeter 101, February edition. My name is Lisa Clark, and I am joined by Chrissy Cady. And in the next hour, we are going to inform you and enlighten you about RiverWoods Exeter. So as I mentioned, I'm Lisa Clark. I'm sales manager here for the RiverWoods Exeter team. I am joined by Chrissy Cady, who is one of our sales counselors. Not joining us today, but with us in spirit is Dan Witham, another sales counselor. And between the three of us, it's our job really to work with those of you who are interested in exploring our community and potentially joining our wait list and perhaps someday becoming a resident of RiverWoods Exeter. Each one of us, or each one of you, has been assigned to one of us. So we will be following up with you in the coming days to see if you have any further questions and would like to arrange a tour of RiverWoods Exeter. A few housekeeping items before we jump into the content. Everybody is on mute, but we do want to hear from you if you have questions. You may submit them in the Q&A box that's usually located at the bottom of your screen. That menu may be on the side of your screen or perhaps at the top of your screen. I would suggest that you hold your questions until the end of the presentation because chances are we've thought of what you're going to ask us and we'll be answering it or including that information in the presentation. Always want to hear from folks about how we can improve these webinars as well as topic ideas that you think would be appropriate for this audience in the coming months and years. So we're going to jump in now and talk a little bit first about how RiverWoods Exeter got started. It was founded by these two visionary women, Rosemary Coffin and Mariana Hatch. And they really began planning for this community in the early 1980s with the goal of building a community where they could meet new friends, get involved in causes that they cared about, and stop worrying about their future healthcare needs. Really, they were striving for peace of mind. So they created RiverWoods Exeter, which opened in 1994. And today, more than 35 years after their first meeting, they now have a community in Durham, which is close to Mariana Hatch's heart because she had roots in Durham. And we opened that community in 2019. So really, RiverWoods began as a dream of a small group of New Hampshire residents who wanted to create a better way to improve the experience of aging for others. So that dream took off, and today, almost 30 years later, RiverWoods is really a dynamic family of three not-for-profit communities, all with the same mission to improve the experience of aging. All three of these communities share the same values, and they're advised by a volunteer board focused on operations. The RiverWoods Group is our supportive organization that provides professional fee-based services such as human resources, marketing, information technology, finance, and quality. And the group also funds any at-risk projects within the communities and any new ventures that we may want to embark upon. It's important to note that each one of the three RiverWoods communities is financially independent from one another, but they also have the opportunity to provide additional funding to the RiverWoods Group based on available assets. The RiverWoods Group, is advised by a volunteer board of directors who are focused on mission and growth. So RiverWoods Exeter is the original campus of those three communities and is now comprised of three campuses within the Exeter community. And all three of these campuses are located within our 200 acres of land here in Exeter. Each campus has all the necessary amenities that you would require, including dining, fitness, art studios, libraries, as well as community gathering spaces. So you'll see we have the Woods, which we opened in 1994. It has about 200 apartments. The Ridge, we opened 10 years later in 2004, and that's where Chrissy and I and Dan also sit. And the Ridge has 81 apartments and 11 cottages. And then the Boulders, which we opened in 2010, has 75 apartments and 24 cottages. Each one has a different feeling to it, a different aesthetic, different floor plans, and different pricing. So when you're working with your sales counselor, they can help educate you on that a little bit more and perhaps guide you to the campus or campuses that might be the best fit for you. We're very proud of the fact that we are accredited here in RiverWoods Exeter by an organization called CARF. And CARF stands for the Commission for the Accreditation of Rehabilitation Facilities. They are a nonprofit accreditor of health and human services worldwide, and only about 10% of continuing care retirement communities are actually accredited. And we were one of the earliest to receive that accreditation. Our accreditation was renewed in 2019 for an additional 5 years. So we're coming sort of to the end of that. And we're currently undergoing submitting for the next accreditation cycle. But when we were accredited or re-accredited in 2019, we did rank in the top 3% of continuing care communities nationally based on a number of criteria that they evaluate. If you're looking at other communities and you'd like to understand if they are also accredited, you can go to the CARF website, which is carf.org. So it's important to note when you come to live at RiverWoods, it's not a real estate transaction, but rather what you're purchasing is what we call life care, which is long-term care insurance. So we are actually an insurance product that is regulated by the Insurance Commission for the state of New Hampshire. Our contract is structured that when you move in here, you pay an entry fee. And 90% of that entry fee is returned to your estate upon your death or upon moving out. And because of that, it can be considered a form of estate preservation, should you have heirs that you wish to pass that along to. We then have monthly fees, so predictable monthly fees. And the reason we say they're predictable is because we have what's known as a Type A contract. And a Type A contract within the continuing care community world is notated by the fact that the monthly fee you pay covers any level of care here. So whether you're living independently or you're living in assisted living or skilled nursing or memory care, your monthly fee is the same. Because we can't really predict what will happen with our health, but you can always predict that the monthly fee that you would be paying RiverWoods would remain the same regardless of what level of care you're receiving. So if you're looking at other communities, it's important to ask what type of contract they have. There's Type B contracts, there's Type C. So important to ask that question. So the main reason people come to live at RiverWoods is to have peace of mind around healthcare. So we have a very broad spectrum of healthcare resources here, really starting out in the independent environment. So we're structured to support you from the day you move in until the day you no longer need health care. We have wellness clinics in each of our 3 campuses that serve independent residents. They're staffed by a nurse practitioner and several other healthcare professionals. We have assisted living here, apartments for both singles and couples. We provide memory support as well as nursing care here, and that's all within private suites. And then we also provide respite care if you just need to come for a short stay within the healthcare lodges until you're feeling better. We provide that service as well. We are overseen by a medical director within our healthcare lodges. His name is Dr. Timothy Keenan, and he is a physician affiliated with Core Physicians out of Exeter. Most of the services that you will receive, whether it's in the wellness clinic, in the independent side or in assisted living or nursing on the healthcare side will be covered by your monthly service fee. The things that would not be covered by your monthly fee would be things that we would bill out to Medicare or private insurance. So those would be actual medical services that would be covered by insurance. So we're undergoing a little bit of an evolution around healthcare at RiverWoods Exeter. The way we were originally conceived within this community and still currently exists today is to have a healthcare lodge at each of our 3 campuses here at RiverWoods Exeter. And each of those 3 lodges will provide these levels of care. They'll provide assisted living apartments, they'll provide long-term care, as well as memory support. At one of our campuses, the Ridge, we also provide short-term rehab. So if you're coming out of the hospital and you need some short-term rehabilitation before you return to your independent apartment, they take beautiful care of you at the Ridge campus. So that serves all 3 of the campuses at that one location. Some of the challenges with the way we originally designed this community 30 years ago is that to operate 3 small healthcare centers has become a challenge, particularly in the way the healthcare environment has changed. So it creates some staffing inefficiencies because whether we have 1 resident or 40 residents, we still have certain ratios that we need to maintain for nursing staff. We have limited amenities within each of these small healthcare centers in terms of they don't have, hair salons or, little stores or fitness areas. So there are some limitations on the amenities within these spaces. And then we also are challenged by now, dated buildings with limits to update our technology. So we're decided to evolve that strategy around separate healthcare lodges into having one central healthcare center. And this healthcare center will provide assisted living, it'll provide long-term care, short-term rehab, and distinct memory support residences. So a lot of benefits to that. First of all, we're going to be designing it to really enhance the physical amenities within the space. You'll see this word biophilic design, which really means it's a way of incorporating more nature into the actual building. And I'll show you an example of that in a moment. It'll allow us to really bring our technology up to date so that we're able to communicate more effectively and serve our residents better within that space. And then also solve for some of the staffing issues that we've been faced with operating 3 small healthcare centers. So we're very excited about it. I'm going to show you some pictures shortly of what that looks like. So these are some renderings of the centralized healthcare building that we are developing. On the upper left, you'll see an image of the front, what we believe the front will look like, more or less. The bottom left is an example of a courtyard that will be within the assisted living area of the campus. You'll see beautiful courtyards and garden space there. So all of those windows surrounding that space will be residences. And then on the right-hand side, you're seeing a rendering of what the lobby might look like with, bright and airy and greenery and beautiful materials, a nice coffee shop there. So it'll be a beautiful, beautiful building. We are hoping to break ground in the middle of 2025 and have this campus open, this healthcare campus open in 2027. And at that point, we'll be moving the residents from the 3 smaller healthcare centers into this new building. In terms of location, we are planning to have it on our current land at the corner of White Oak Drive and Route 111. That site is currently occupied by a small building that the RiverWoods Group is located within, and we also have a park there with a couple pickleball courts. So that is the planned location for this building. Want to get back to talking about what services you actually receive here when you come to live at RiverWoods and what amenities you will have access to. We'll talk about dining a little bit more in a moment, but part of your monthly service fee does include access to dining and a certain number of dining points. You will have access to our fitness, all three of our fitness centers and all three of our indoor pools when you're a resident here. You will have access to entertainment and cultural opportunities, whether it's entertainment that we bring onto campus or things that we're doing externally to our campus. We have a beautiful transportation team providing you with courtesy transportation to medical appointments, to the grocery and the bank, as well as getting you between our three campuses, should you like to travel between them. We also provide housekeeping on a biweekly basis. We'll come in and clean your cottage or apartment. And then weekly flat linen service. So we are laundering your linens, sheets and towels on a weekly basis. We take care of all the maintenance. So interior and exterior home maintenance. You have a plumbing issue, your dishwasher breaks, whatever it is, we are responsible for that. And then your monthly service fee also covers utilities. So your electric, your water, your heat, your air conditioning. The only things not included would be cable TV, your internet access, and a landline if you choose to get a local phone line. All three of those services are bundled together for about $95 a month because we get a bulk discount with our vendors. Your monthly service fee also includes access to the wellness clinic. So if you need to drop in and get a blood pressure check or have dressing changed on a wound, or you've got a sore throat and you want to get, checked out for that, that is all, those visits are all covered by your monthly service fee. And then lastly, we provide 24-hour security at all three of our campuses, and we have emergency response system throughout our community when you move in. So dining is a super important part of living in a community like RiverWoods because it provides access to socialization as well as nourishment. You will receive a monthly bank of dining points included in your monthly service fee. It's equal to about one meal a day, a 5-course meal, but we have everything set up now on an a la carte basis because not everybody wants to eat a 5-course meal every day. So you'll have a bank of dining points that you can use to eat in the dining rooms. You can use it for takeout food, for guest meals. If you want us to cater something, you can use your points for that, as well as for some perishable grocery items. We have 5 different restaurants here, so you can dine at any of those with your dining points. If you're somebody who has some dietary sensitivities or allergies, we will work with you on that to make sure that we are, being sensitive to those specific needs that you may have. Everything is made here. So we, try to source as much as we can locally from New Hampshire farmers. We're lucky to be in an area where there's wonderful farms around here that are supplying, meat, dairy, produce, as well as access to fish. So really nice fresh food that we're serving to residents at RiverWoods. This is a picture of our dining room at the Boulders campus. Beautiful dining room with also an outdoor dining patio out there. This is a picture of one of our recently renovated dining spaces within the Ridge campus. So in the foreground, you're seeing the more casual bistro area, which is where many people eat their lunch. And then through the doorway in the back corner there, that leads into the more formal dining room, which is generally where people are having their dinner evening service. We also, at all three of our campuses, have country stores, and they are designed really to provide you with access to pantry staples and toiletries so that if you run out of something, you don't need to get in the car and go out to the grocery. The store you're looking at here is the country store at the Woods campus. Does have the most robust inventory, so it's a great place to shop. We have some people who don't go to the grocery store anymore. Between the meal service that we provide them at RiverWoods and the groceries that they can access here, they generally can get by without actually going out to the grocery store. I'm going to turn it over to Chrissy now, and Chrissy can talk to you a little bit more about really what it's like to live here, what there is to do for fun, and show you some of the beautiful interiors of our apartments and cottages.
Thank you, Lisa. It's a pleasure to be here to talk with all of you today. And so now, as Lisa mentioned, I will be walking you through some of our apartment styles, some of our various amenities and activities that we have here. You're looking at a picture here of one of our residents and her dog, Belle, who enjoys going into some of our healthcare areas to meet with other residents. And we do have some dogs who like to go visit other residents there. This is a picture you're looking at one of our big common gathering spaces. This is the Boulders Hall over at our Boulders campus. And this is our largest common space, which can seat up to 200 of our residents theater style. This is a wonderful place where we can host lectures, performances, resident parties, concerts, community updates, and even some of our marketing events there. You can choose from a wide array of events that are listed on our biweekly calendar, which our residents can receive by paper or on our resident portal. And all three campuses have a large space to accommodate resident gatherings. So the Woods has our Great Bay Room, the Ridge has the Ridge Room, and our Boulders Hall is at the Boulders. Just to give you an idea of recent events that we've held there, we've had our local author Dan Brown. We had recently had a former presidential candidate Chris Christie, who was there the day he actually decided to step down. I also want to take some time to talk about our educational enrichment here, because that's often a question that's asked. We have an extremely active education committee, which is an all-campus committee. And their mission, the mission of the Education Committee is to provide enrichment opportunities to our residents through educational programs, lectures, and short courses, catering to a wide variety of interests. And we have both outside speakers and resident speakers that are utilized for this mission. Our committee is a resident-run committee, and they meet regularly to discuss opportunities for lectures and trips, courses, and also committee duties. And they do work in tandem with the community life team here to promote events and also reserve spaces on campus. In 2023, just to give you an example of how active they are, we actually had more than 20 in-person programs provided across all three campuses, and topics covered a wide variety of interests, including arts, the arts history, crafts, performances, archaeology, geology, nature, travel, local town services and town departments, literature, our environment, issues around aging, and many, many more. It's also important to note that each one of our campuses has a library. This one here that you're seeing is at our Woods campus, but each of our campus has a library that are interconnected, run again by an active resident library committee. And they'll get together to discuss which new books will be ordered. They also volunteer to work at each library. And as I mentioned, they are interconnected with each other with a card catalog that you can look up books on. And if the book isn't at the Woods, you might be able to find it at the Ridge or the Boulders. And also, it's important to note that as a RiverWoods resident, you're also a resident of the town of Exeter, and you would have privileges to our wonderful Exeter Town Library as well. So now we're moving on to some activities, some of our wide variety of activities here. Let's start talking about our fitness, because I know fitness is very important to you. No matter what level of fitness and how much you want to do, we make it easy for you here. Between our 3 pools, one at each campus, our 3 cardio centers also at each campus, and our many trained instructors that guide us through a wide range of classes. If you don't like to do very, structured classes, we also have walking groups, cycling groups, hiking groups. We have 2 pickleball courts at our Gooch Park. Between all 3 of our campuses, we maintain over 4 miles of hiking or snowshoe trails. So it's easy to stay active when you're here. You're looking here at a picture of our boulders pool. And as I mentioned, we have 3 pools. The boulders pool is an excellent pool for lap swimming, but we also have at all 3 of our campuses wonderful exercise, aqua classes, volleyball games. That was a program started by one of our residents. Every Wednesday afternoon, people get together to play aqua volleyball. And each one of our pools also has a hot tub. We keep our pools at a comfortable temperature between about 84 to 88 degrees. This is an example of one of our cardio rooms. This is at our Boulders campus. And so if you prefer to exercise on your own time, you can use any of our cardio equipment. You can be trained on it with our wonderful fitness staff. And that gives you no excuse to get your 30 minutes of cardio in. Here is a picture of our happy pickleball players. We originally started with 1 pickleball court. And as you may know, pickleball has become a very popular sport, especially with our residents. And we have now added another pickleball court. And so we listen to our residents when they need more opportunities. We have 2 pickleball courts to enjoy. We have pickleball players who are very supportive of new pickleball players. So we've hosted some instructional sessions. They love to bring new people in. And our fitness team has even supported the pickleball craze by hosting master classes to get people ready for the spring pickleball session. If you're into fitness, but you're also like to use your creative side, we have an endless opportunity to explore that. We have at least 1 art studio on each campus, including a pottery studio, painting studio, creative art space. This picture is one of our residents who moved in but hadn't painted in many years, just had been busy with life. As soon as he moved in, he became quite motivated by other artists who live here. And so you'll often see him now every day at our Pinkham Art Studio, painting and using his craft. The other, actually here you'll see him, this is the space he was in, our Pinkham Art Studio. You can see the numerous things that people do between painting. It's wonderful for natural light, so our painters love this studio. And if you look at your lower left-hand corner, you'll also note that we have Nantucket basket classes as well. So there's a very large range of creativity in this room. If you like to use woodworking as your art form, we have another very active woodworking committee. You'll see some of our members here. Very talented woodworkers. We have 2 different wood shops, one at the Woods and one at the Ridge. This one here is at the Woods. And you're just seeing some of our talented woodworkers here who do create things from signs and benches for our trails to canoe paddles, cheese boards, and furniture, and more. And they are always very helpful if you want to go in, and you'll learn how to use all the various equipment that's in each wood shop. If you like music and you're musically inclined, we love to have you here as well. This is a big part of our residents' experience here. We have everything from small group instrumentals, small singing groups, such as our Women's Barbershop Quartet, We have a recorder group that was started by one of our residents, as well as a string quartet, a ukulele group. We have some wonderful pianists who will put on piano concerts. And we also have a RiverWoods chorus that meets every Tuesday afternoon for a rehearsal and perform 2 concerts a year here at RiverWoods. So not only do you get the opportunity to sing and play music, but the RiverWoods community gets the benefit of hearing all of your talents here as they perform for various functions throughout the year. And I know we have a lot of gardeners out there. One of the one things I hear when people come in for tours is that they hate to let go of their gardens that they have been, working on all their lives. So I do want to let you know there are great opportunities here for our gardeners as well. I know many of you are leaving large gardens behind. If you love to garden, you can still exercise your green thumb in one of our raised garden beds throughout all 3 campuses. And we also have an active garden committee who works alongside with our landscaping team to create beautiful gardens throughout our campuses. We make every effort to practice organic landscaping techniques that are and are committed to even exploring more ways to be greener in the future. One of our another interesting a fact about Riverwoods is that we are home to New Hampshire's largest arboretum with over 300 species of trees. Another fun fact is we have maintained beehives here, maintained by 2 of our staff beekeepers alongside some of our resident beekeepers. And that program has been so successful that they actually sell honey in our country stores. One other thing we have, which is fun for our residents and resident families, is that we have a small barn located over at our Boulders campus where we inherited 3 goats from a nearby farm. So it's always a fun place to visit. Now I'm going to talk about some of our apartment and cottage features. You're looking at a picture of the outside of one of our cottages over at the Boulders. Our features of all apartments and cottages are fully equipped kitchens, individually controlled HVAC. We are all Wi-Fi enabled. We have storage units, 24-hour emergency response. There are guest rooms at each of our campuses. And opportunities for outdoor parking and covered parking options as well. We're going to shortly, we'll take a peek at some of our living spaces, but one of the things I want to point out with our apartments is that each apartment has a solarium in it in the living space, which brings in a lot of beautiful light. And we'll be looking at that in a moment. I should mention that our cottages are all equipped with a 2-car garage. You are looking at a picture of our Trillium apartment, which is a large 1-bedroom here at our Woods campus. And again, note the solarium in the background there, which is bringing a lot of light into our beautiful common space there of living and dining space. I will also note some of our standard choices as we move along. In here, you can see our luxury vinyl flooring, which enables people to bring in their beautiful area rugs. This is a different view of that same apartment, the Trillium apartment at the Woods. And you'll see our kitchens are pretty spacious with some beautiful amenities such as stainless steel appliances, a modern kitchen design, that open design, stainless steel appliances, and stone countertops. Now you're looking at a picture of our 2-bedroom apartment, one of our 2-bedroom apartments, a Magnolia. It's a large 2-bedroom at the Ridge. And again, you're seeing that generous space for the solarium, living and dining space. You see part of that open kitchen with an ample counter space. And again, choice of stone. In this particular case, you're looking at granite and a nice open kitchen. I like this picture. This is of a 2-bedroom over at the Boulders called the Cypress apartment. And it's always fun to see how residents will create their homes. Back in, I think, 2019, we worked with designers to create a wonderful neutral palette that you could choose from so that you could bring your own individual space into your apartment. create your own individual space. So residents who often come from larger homes will then surround themselves with their favorite pieces. So I love these nice red chairs and accent pieces. The kitchens at the in the cottages are also very large and great space, great ability to cook your favorite meals. And you'll note the stainless steel appliances again, our quality cabinetry, granite countertops, stone countertops. You're looking here at a picture of our spruce cottage kitchen. Now, I know when you come to RiverWoods, there's a lot to do here and a lot of beautiful space and beautiful apartments and cottages. But you're not just coming to RiverWoods. There's a wonderful community surrounding us as well. So you're close to our downtown Exeter area, about 3 miles from downtown Exeter. You're surrounded by 200 acres near the Exeter River, easy access to Portsmouth and Manchester, and an hour from Portland and Boston. So it's easy to explore our seacoast area, and you also have proximity to our mountains and lakes regions. And for those of you who have already been doing some investigating into a continuing care retirement community in New Hampshire, you probably already know that New Hampshire has wonderful tax advantages, including no general sales tax, no personal income tax, no capital gains tax. We are a top ranked New England state and the 5th lowest tax burden in the country. We added a slide about pricing because I know that's important to people. This is just a range for you. If you're interested in learning a little bit more specifically on pricing, please feel free to reach out to your sales counselors. But we'll give you a basic summary here. As you know, we have over 40 different floor plans ranging from studios to cottages, square footage ranging from about 500 square feet all the way to over 2,000. The first person entrance fee is that entrance fee, which is 90% refundable to your estate. And that ranges from about 200,000 all the way to $1 million based on apartment size. And the first person monthly service fee, also based on apartment size, would range anywhere from 3,000 to 9,000 a month. And if you look down at the bottom of this slide, you'll notice the second person entrance fee is 55,000. Not it is tax deductible. It is tax deductible, and it does not depend on apartment size, as well as the second person monthly fee, which is almost just under $2,000 a month. And now I'm going to turn it back over to Lisa.
Great. Thank you, Chrissy. Hopefully you've gotten a little bit of the basics about us to get a sense for what RiverWoods Exeter has to offer. I'd like to talk a little bit about our process if you were interested in getting onto our wait list, because we do have a wait list here. We are fully occupied and we have people waiting to come live here, which only happens when somebody moves from independent over to assisted living. So what you're looking at here is a picture of our very enthusiastic bocce players at the Woods campus, where the dress code requires striped socks, and they have a little mascot, a little pug who's their mascot. We do have bocce courts as well as horseshoes. So we do enjoy outdoor games here. So let's talk about the process. We estimate the wait time to be anywhere from 2 to 6 years for apartments and cottages, and that's a pretty broad range. So it really depends on what you're interested in. You'll find our 1-bedroom apartments will have shorter wait times, usually around 2 years, whereas our largest 2-bedroom apartments, you're looking at 5 to 6 years. Cottages are somewhere in between. And again, this really fluctuates depending upon what's happening with residents transitioning over to assisted living. If you were interested in applying to join our wait list, we would ask you to complete a confidential data profile. That's the name of our application, which helps us determine what we would be comfortable approving you for to get on the wait list and then ultimately come live here. Once you were approved, we would have you sign an agreement, a short 4-page agreement, waitlist agreement, and place a reservation fee. And that reservation fee varies depending upon what you're depositing on. So at the low end for a studio, it would be around $25,000. At the higher end for a cottage or our largest, the 2-bedroom apartments at the Boulders, it would be $99,000. That reservation fee does earn interest. It earns 4% simple interest, but only if you become a resident. So if you decide not to become a resident here and you leave our wait list, you earn 0.25% interest. If you decide to leave the wait list, your reservation fee is refundable, except for $1,000 of that, which is a cancellation fee. But once you're on the list, it's very flexible. You tell us when you're ready. There's no penalty if we were to contact you about something before you were ready. So it's a very flexible, fluid process because we realize that it's hard to know when you're going to be ready to move in here. But if you like our community and you believe in the concept of a CCRC, we recommend that you get on the wait list, even if you're, multiple years out from even thinking you'd want to come live here, because we base all of the prioritization on our wait lists on the date that you've actually joined the list and paid your reservation fee. So we're going to shift now. Before we open it up more broadly for questions, Chrissy and I are going to talk about what we feel are the most frequently asked questions. We've hosted probably, close to 50 of these presentations, and we find that there are certain questions that come up relatively frequently. So we're going to answer those, and then if you still have a burning question that we haven't addressed, I'd like you to direct you to the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and you can write your questions in there. So the first question that we often get asked is from people who have already invested in a long-term care insurance policy, and they want to know if they can use that at RiverWoods. Now, long-term care insurance policies and the treatment of those may vary from community to community. So because it can be used at one community, it may be treated differently in another community. So I'll tell you how it's handled here in RiverWoods Exeter. Remember that what you're purchasing from us is long-term care insurance. So when you come and live at RiverWoods, that is what you are paying for. So if you already have a policy, it's probably redundant of the services that you're paying RiverWoods for. That said, if you want to retain it, that's totally fine. And then when you get to the point where you're moving into a higher level of healthcare, such as assisted living or long-term care, that qualifies for reimbursement by your pre-existing long-term care policy, you can submit claims and get reimbursed for that per whatever coverage you have. RiverWoods doesn't get involved with that, other than if we get questions from your insurance carrier. We would answer those questions about what level of care you're receiving, but it would be on you to submit those claims. We always recommend that people keep their policy for the first year that they're living at RiverWoods Exeter before they cancel it, because we want to make sure that you're happy here and that you're settled before you eliminate that policy. We do have someone on staff here who can evaluate policies. We only do that once somebody gets onto the wait list and or moves into the community. But we do have somebody who can help advise on that.
I'll take the next question, Lisa. What happens if one partner in a couple needs a higher level of care? And that's the beauty of a continuing care retirement community, and one of the concepts that if one partner is healthy and able to live independently, you would remain in your independent apartment or cottage. Whereas if your spouse then needs higher levels of care, they can move into an assisted living apartment and receive all the care they need, and you can remain in your independent apartment and cottage. There will be no extra fees involved, but you can both live in the areas where you need your care, where you need care. So they can transition from assisted living into skilled care or memory care, while the healthy partner can remain in their independent apartment. And there is only one additional fee for 2 more meals a day, because in independent living, you have enough points for 1 meal per day, and in healthcare, we are required to provide 3 meals a day.
So the next question we're going to address is, what if you're not ready to move when we call you about an apartment? Do you go to the bottom of the list? And the answer is no. So as I mentioned earlier, it's a super flexible process. So we keep a separate wait list for every style of apartment and cottage. So when you join the wait list, you'll have a conversation with your sales counselor, and you might decide between the two of you that you're going to be on 5 or 6 different floor plan lists that you would consider. If we call you before you're ready, you simply tell us that it's too soon for you. And hopefully you'll give the sales counselor an idea of when you're thinking, like, I'm thinking at least another year, or fall of 2027, or what have you. And we just make a note of that and we move on down the list to the next person. So there's no penalty for that. We might also call you for something that you feel like you're ready to move here, but it might be kind of your last choice or your least preferred floor plan. In which case you might think, you know what, I'm not as crazy about that floor plan as I am the others, and I think I'm going to hold out and wait and see if something else comes up. Totally your prerogative, no penalty for that. Again, we will keep you on the list in the position that you're at. You hear often about, and actually our waitlist agreement talks about 3 refusals. What a refusal is if if Chrissy was to call you and say, hey, I have an apartment. Are you ready and interested? This is where it's located. And you say, yes, I think I am interested. She will then ask you to complete the final qualification paperwork, which involves updating your financials, because we requalify you financially before we're going to extend an offer to you. And then she'll arrange for you to come in for a health assessment, an in-person health assessment. After doing that, then you would look at the apartment. And if you decided then you didn't like it, then that's considered a refusal. And that would be your first refusal. So you get up to 3 times to go through that process before you would be repositioned to the bottom of the list. Very rarely do we have people get beyond even their first offer. Usually people know when they're ready and they know what they're interested in, and they have enough information to make a decision as to whether they want to go through that process of the final qualification. So that's in a nutshell. It's probably one of the most frequently misunderstood and confusing questions that we answer. So I'm sure this won't be the last time that we explain it to you. So we'll move on to Chrissy to the next question.
Sure. The next question is, how long do I have to move? How long do I have to move in once I'm offered an apartment or cottage? So in general, you can expect 60 days from the day we offer you the apartment or cottage. Cottages can be a little longer than 60 days, but 60 days generally for apartments, from the day that you are offered the apartment to the day it is ready for occupancy. And so after that 60-day period, that entry fee would be due, and your monthly service fees would begin as well. So you're not required to move in at that time, but you would be paying your entry fee and monthly service fees at that day number 60.
Great. Thanks, Chrissy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're going to open it up for questions now and go to the Q&A box. While that Q&A box is filling in, I want to alert you to another workshop that we have coming up on downsizing. on February 21st, which is a week from tomorrow. This is probably our most popular webinar that we do, or among the top 3 most popular webinars that we do all year long, because everyone at this stage of life is struggling with what to do with their stuff. Encourage you to sign up for that. You can register on our website. And if you fail to register for it, we do record it and we do put it up on our website. So it will be up there at some point, but terrific, terrific webinar. So we're going to go to the, one more thing is if you haven't checked out our podcast, Seniority Authority, featuring Kathleen Toomey. Terrific podcast. If you're into podcasting, Kathleen interviews leading really thought leaders, physicians, researchers, scientists about the topic of aging. Really, really well done and entertaining. And she actually recently took that to New Hampshire Public Television and has been recording a couple of interviews for them, which are now being broadcast as well. But check out Seniority Authority podcast, really terrific. And lastly, I want to let everybody know we have a new website. So if you've been following us for a while and you have bookmarked our old website, we encourage you to refresh that with the riverwoodsnh.org website. It is a sort of an umbrella website for all 3 RiverWoods communities, and then you can drill down specifically into the Exeter community or the other 2. So just want to bring that to folks' attention. So we're going to go to questions now. And Chrissy, do you want to handle answer the first question there about the refundable fee?
Sure. The question is the 90% refundable fee based on what you paid initially or the current market price? It is based on the entrance fee that you paid initially. So you would get that 90% refundable of after you died here, or if you were to leave here, you would get 90% of what you initially paid for your entrance fee.
We have a question about what the reservation fee is for the large 1-bedroom, and that amount is $45,000 for the large 1-bedroom. Chrissy, you want to answer the next one?
What does our 50% refundable contract look like? We do have, as so you probably know, we have a 90%, which is our most frequently used contract, our 50%, and a 0% contract. If you choose the 50% contract, you would actually still pay the same entrance fee coming in, but your monthly service fee would be reduced percentage-wise based on your age moving into of the youngest person moving into the community. So for both the 50% and the 0%, it would be a percentage off of your monthly service fee based on your age coming into the community.
And important to note, because we have a next question on this about can you switch according to age? You can modify contract types, but only going from 90% to 50 or 50% to 0. And I don't like to talk a lot about those other 2 contract types because they aren't really appealing to most people. We have very few people that go onto them, but happy to follow up with the person who asked this question about that. But another question is about what qualifies as a prepaid medical expense deduction. So we didn't really talk a lot about this. Chrissy mentioned it a little bit. Because we are a long-term care insurance product, a portion of the monthly service fee that you pay while you're living independently can qualify as a prepaid medical expense. It generally hovers in the 30 to 33%. It varies every year, but for the tax year 2023, it was 33% of that monthly service fee qualifies as a prepaid medical expense. Not everybody is earning the income to make sense out of that, because oftentimes that deduction will exceed what they're actually bringing in for income. The other portion that's it can qualify as a prepaid medical expense is the non-refundable portion of your entry fee. So if you're paying $500,000 for your entry fee and you're on a 90% contract, that means that 10% of that 500,000 is not coming back to you and can be taken as a tax deduction in the year that you pay it. And we do have a handout on that. So I know that's some people's heads are probably spinning or their eyes are glazing over. So we do have a handout on that. In terms of when we're making an offer to you, there's a question about how much advance notice. Usually it's anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. In today's market of real estate, it does give people plenty of time because we have a 60-day refurbishment timeline, and then usually you're getting a call from your sales counselor, usually a couple weeks before that. But you would have a minimum of 60 days to sell your house. We do not provide bridge loans. It would be up to you, the incoming resident, to arrange for your financing if you haven't sold your home. But the entry fee is due at the time that the apartment is completed and ready for you to move in. Chrissy, do you want to answer the next question about demographics?
Sure. Question, can you provide a sense of the demographics of the community? Average age at entry, gender breakdown, professional demographics, past, I'm sorry, I just lost that question. Where did it go? Okay. Ethnic breakdown, gender diversity, average time in residence. So some of these I can't answer. I don't have anything. I would have to review some of that somewhere else, but I can tell you that the average age of people moving in is about 78. Average age of our residents is about 84, but we've got a range of people who come in their late 60s, and we have a resident who lives completely independently at 103. So there's a wide range there. As far as gender, we have about, let's see, 68% female, 32% male, 49% singles to 51% couples. Let's see, Lisa, can you help me with any others that I haven't answered?
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, we don't have a lot of ethnic diversity here. I mean, being in New Hampshire, if anybody lives in New Hampshire, they know that that's true. Average time in residence, I don't think we have statistics on that either. I mean, this is people's last home in life. We have some people who have lived here, 28 years. But a lot of people have lived here 10 or 15 years. So it is the last home that people come to live to, and they live quite well through end of life. Okay. So energy, sustainability, energy. So we are in the process of installing, we have some solar panels, and on our buildings, we are installing more. We are in the process of, we're planning to add electric vehicle charging stations at all 3 campuses. There's a number of other things that we're looking at for sustainability. We do make recycling really easy here. We recycle everything from batteries to light bulbs to plastic bags to cardboard and all the usual suspects. So it is something that we are focused on and trying to be responsible about.
Let's see. Are there any disqualifications for health? There really are not. When you're going in for your health assessment, it's our goal to make sure that you, as an individual or in a couple, each person can live independently, safely, on their own. And that's what would qualify you to come into our community in independent living under our life care contract.
We have a question about a dining credit granted for time away from campus for extended travel. We have about 4 different levels of reduced dining points. So you can change your dining plan up to 4 times a year. So we do have people that go away seasonally or 2-4 weeks, and that can be modified. And your sales counselor can explain more to you about that. Chrissy, do you want to?
I'm not sure I know the answer to that, Lisa. I don't believe we've never placed 3 people in a 2-bedroom. I don't know if is there a reason we can't? Do you know, Lisa? I know.
Well, yes, there is. There's a limit of 2 people per
2 people
resident.
per
Yeah.
Okay, so
residents.
2 people in a 2-bedroom.
Yep. We do have
Else.
storage here, storage dimensions.
We call it a glorified phone booth. For apartments, it's a storage cage that's about 3.5 by 4 feet by 8 feet high, ceiling height. There is more storage in cottages.
Great. We are at 2:00. So we are out of time to bring. I just want to answer the question about the cat. Yes, you can bring your cat. We are pet friendly. You can have up to 2 pets. I'm sorry we couldn't get to all the rest of the questions. That tells me that you're engaged, and that makes me happy. So Dan and Chrissy and I will follow up with you and answer the remainder of your questions. Thanks for joining today, and hope you'll come see us at RiverWoods. Have a great day.
Thank you.